All right, so the advantages of cottage and small scale industries are that they can generate employment for the people in the areas. You see, not people living in North Mountains have fewer employment opportunities as compared to the people in the plains and in the plateaus. So such industries serve as a source of employment generation. People can work for these industries, okay? Uh, and obviously the local market demand is also met because you see it because of the lack of transportation, lack of connectivity, the topography of the areas such as the northern mountains, it becomes difficult to bring in the products from other cities and areas. So locally the products are produced through the cottage industries and the demand is met like that. Employment for women because of the cultural barriers, because of the societal barriers in areas where women are not allowed to work in formal sectors outside their houses. Uh, Small scale industries are a source of employment generation for the women as well. And they also reduce rural to urban migration. See, people move from areas in search of employment opportunities. So one of the major causes of rural to urban migration is employment. Most of the people, they migrate to urban areas just to seek more jobs. So when such industries, they provide jobs to the local people and they serve as a source of income for the locals, it reduces the rural to urban migration. Okay. Little burden on imports. So most of the materials can be prepared in these industries, and I mean, the raw material could also be produced for other major sectors of industries. Less capital and less technology is involved. You do not need to invest a greater amount of money to establish such an industry. You don't need I mean, you don't need very high technology equipments or resources for such an industry. However, the problems associated with small scale industries are that number one, raw material is not sufficient. It's difficult to transport raw material from cities to the rural areas. There's no proper marketing. They depend on just the tourists that visit those areas in summers and they purchase the products. Production methods are outdated. There's lack of standardization, lack of coordination between the industries. So obviously they don't really know I mean, there's no quality control over these products. No availability of electricity. So yeah, infrastructure it's a problem because such areas such as the northern mountains, outskirts of Balochistan, they don't really there's no proper access to infrastructure facilities such as electricity, power supply, water. Yeah, so these are the problems associated with such industries. Pakistan has these organizations to support the small scale industries: PSIC, Pakistan Small Industries Corporation, and SIDB, the Small Industry Development Board of NWFP of Balochistan. So you guys you should just know 2 to 3 of these names for your answers. Okay. These organizations, they aid the establishment of these industries. They provide marketing facilities, technical support. They develop such centers where people can train themselves to work in these sectors. They provide funding and loans for the establishment of these industries. All right. And yeah, so these are some of the examples of small scale industries that are there in Pakistan. Sports goods are made in Sialkot, and you see the sports industry, the small scale industry of Pakistan is so developed that our sport products are also exported to other countries like USA, Canada, and the Europe. Surgical instruments are made in Lahore and Sialkot. They're also made in the small scale industries. Embroidery in Karachi, Hyderabad, Multan, Bahawalpur. All right. So yeah. With that, let's look at this question. Explain why cottage and small scale industries are important to both rural and urban areas and also to the country. So why do you think are cottage industries important for the rural areas? We've just discussed the reasons. What do you guys think is the importance of a cottage industry to a rural area? G. Guys, your responses. No? Guys, can you all hear me? Okay, yes, there is an answer. Check rural and urban migrations, some products exported to abroad for earn foreign exchange, better use of local raw material. Okay, so these are the advantages, general advantages of cottage industries to the country, and specific advantages to the rural areas would be a reduction in rural urban migration, yeah, use of local raw material, yeah, and employment opportunities for the people of the rural areas, increase in per capita income of the people in the rural areas. And for urban areas, guys, what do you think are the advantages for the urban areas? How do you think our cottage industry is important to the urban sector? You can even think of the chain effects. For example, if cottage industry reduces rural to urban migration, so how would that affect an urban setting? So, I mean, if we look at the migration, the causes for migration, and why people migrate to urban, and then the consequences of migration to urban areas, you'll see how at times the cities become overburdenized. The resources of the cities are obviously limited, and it gets difficult to accommodate people moving from rural areas to the urban areas. Yeah. So this is one of the advantages, that's when small scale industries reduce rural to urban migration. The cities, they become self-sufficient, and there's no such problem with the allocation of resources among people. So this is one of the advantages of small scale industries to the urban areas. Okay. And all right, guys, look at the distribution of cottage industries. So all of the triangles are the cottage industries. The squares are the engineering industries. Um, or this triangle and squares together in a rectangle are the cottage industries and engineering industries together. So if you look at the response over here, compare the distribution of cottage industries and engineering industries as shown in figure 1. So you're going to first write the similarities and then the differences. What similarities do you see, guys, between these cottage and the engineering industries, the triangles and the squares? Similarities. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to study this map. Then I'll be expecting you guys to answer the questions. Okay. Look at this map carefully and let me know the similarities and the differences uh, between the distribution of cottage and engineering industries. Okay. A few minutes to study the map, and then I'll be asking questions. Guys, are you all done? Can anybody now unmute themselves and explain the comparison to me? The establishment of cottage industry is related to the availability of raw material. Okay. And how would you link this statement with this map over here? Where do you think is the raw material available and where do you think is the cottage industry shown in the map? Climatic conditions. All right. Um, Guys, the answers are very vague. Look at these statements over here. If you see the distribution of cottage and engineering industries, okay, I've got an answer here. Both in all four provinces, spread throughout provinces, both concentrated in Punjab, equal in Sindh, Balochistan, and KPK. Okay, let's look at the map again. So all of the industries are there in all the four provinces. They are concentrated in Punjab. You see, both of the engineering and the cottage industries are more in number in Punjab. They're in Balochistan and Sindh. The differences are that there are 7 cottage industries in Punjab, but sorry, just a second. 5 engineering industries in Punjab. Okay. Engineering more concentrated while cottage more spread out. I see. All right. Okay, yes, this is the way to attempt this question. You look at the distribution of both the industries. For example, both of the industries are there in all the 4 provinces, but they are more concentrated in Punjab. They're present in, you can refer to these names of the cities, Karachi, Lahore, Gujarat, Hyderabad. And the differences over here are that there are more cottage industries in Punjab as compared to the engineering industries. And then you can also specify certain numbers and the names of the cities. Cottage industries are more spread out, whereas the engineering industries are more clustered. Okay. Here's a 6-mark question. It is better for Pakistan to promote large-scale industries which provide more goods for domestic use and for other industries. This is one of the statements that it's beneficial for Pakistan to promote large-scale industries. And the second statement is that we should promote small-scale industries in rural areas for the industrial development. Which point do you think is the viable option for the industrial development? Should we maybe promote the large-scale industrial sector or the small-scale industrial sector? Statement A or statement B? Okay, there's one response for statement B. Adil, would you also present a reason for that? So I'm gonna explain the reasons for statement number A. In the meantime, Adil, you can write down your reasons for B. So if you guys agree with the promotion of large-scale industries, that it is better that we promote large-scale industries to boost the industrial development of Pakistan. Number one, the products made out from large-scale industries are mostly these finished goods, and we won't really be importing these products from other countries later. This will help Pakistan in achieving a positive balance of a payment, and it will also fulfill the local demands. Private sector will be more interested in the investments, increasing the overall GDP, and obviously it will provide more employment opportunities as well. And at the same time, you can write some points against statement number B. For example, if we promote small scale industries, we will have to obviously invest, and you won't get a lot of immediate gains over that investment because this small scale industries produce the products for local consumption only, just there are a few exceptions, for example the sports and the surgical instruments industries, but most of the cottage and the small scale industries are there for local consumption only. All right, so you won't really get an immediate return on the investment for a small scale industry. So this is a point against this. Secondly, because this is an informal sector of employment and child labor is very common. Pakistan faces these trade sanctions because of the poor working conditions and especially child labor. This is the reason why our products are at times banned from being sold to the international markets. So in order to avoid these trade sanctions, it is important that we invest in the large scale and formal employment sectors, formal industrial sectors. Okay. Um, I guess that's it. Brick-kiln industry is an example of a small scale industry. It is a very important small scale industry of Pakistan because the product that the bricks they're used throughout Pakistan for and with the rise of urbanization and modernization, expansion of cities and towns, bricks are being used in the construction industry. All right, so there are a total of 6,000 brick kilns in Pakistan and they contribute 1.5% to the GDP. You can just look at this industry as a this is sector as a system. The inputs you need are wood, sawdust, coal, clay, water, sand. You need capital, machinery, and labor. And the processes are that first of all, clay is mixed with water, and it's poured into the molds. Those molds are dried in sun, and then those bricks are baked. All right. Brick industry has I mean there are a few negative impact over the environment because of the reduction of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, uh, and other pollutants such as nitrogen oxides. All right, they cause air pollution. The working conditions are not very safe. People work throughout the day under such harmful gases. All right, so a lot of skin diseases are common. um, Agricultural land near these areas is also harmed because you obviously need to clear some land for establishing a brick kiln, and the wastewater is also it's washed into the farms, which is again harmful for the plants. Okay, you can look at the solutions over here. One of the ways is to convert this brick kiln from these traditional burning methods to natural gas, because these brick kilns they operate on burning of coal. All right, so it's better to move to natural gas or some other methods of burning instead of clearing lands. There should be proper laws as to the amount of land that should be cleared for a particular brick kiln area. They should be placed out of the cities, and there could be filters placed on the chimneys to filter out these harmful gases. Okay, and yeah, here are a few pictures. Guys, you can go to the questions. The notes will be uploaded on the drive. We are done with the small scale industries as well. We'll be discussing tertiary industrial sector from next week onwards. That is the last bit of this topic. Guys, please let me know if there is any question. Although Fridays are for the tests, but we might be having a class tomorrow, a history class. I'm not sure about that. I'll let you guys know in the group if we do have a class. Other than that, we will be having a test at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So you guys can be prepared, and the test will be from geography. The topic will be agricultural development. Okay, so you guys can prepare for the test. I will be sending the test document. I'll upload it on the Google Classroom exactly by 2 p.m. and I'll let you know if we decide to have a class tomorrow. Okay, guys, let me know if there's any question.